Alex Kimani and I wrote a study entitled From Gas to Coal: Environmental and Health Impacts of Europe's Energy Crisis. In a nutshell, the paper asks, what are the pollution and health impacts of the energy crisis that we experienced in Europe during the years 2021-2022? We conduct a statistical econometric evaluation applied to daily electricity market data from 6 major EU economies: Germany, Poland, Italy, Czechia, the Netherlands and Ireland. The main findings are that the crisis led to intensified coal power generation, and this eventually increased CO2 emissions and toxic air pollutants. The outset for the paper is that during mid-2021, the tensions between Russia and the EU escalated. That caused a surge in natural gas prices. We see indeed that the tensions led to a surge in the gas price, which eventually exploded during the war on Ukraine. The gas price surge eventually extended to European electricity markets, and that led to less gas combustion at the expense of more coal combustion. This is called a gas-to-coal fuel switch. So we ask, what are the pollution and health impacts of the energy crisis? In order to answer that question, we identified 6 sample countries for which we could find a significant coal-to-gas switching potential. We then apply a multivariate regression framework to daily electricity market data for the period 2015 to 2023. The model also controls for key confounding factors, including electricity demand, electricity supply from different technologies, and different commodity prices in order to isolate the effect of interest. We are then interested in the effect of a higher gas price on different outcome variables, among which are coal-fired electricity production, CO2 emissions, local air pollutants such as particulate matter, sulfur dioxide and nitrogen oxides, and premature death related to coal combustion. To answer our research question, we had to calculate the marginal costs of electricity production via coal or gas. What we find is that there are basically 3 different time periods. At first, during normal commodity prices and the time of low CO2 prices, we have that the marginal costs of gas combustion are higher than the marginal costs of coal combustion. Then the CO2 price rose, and we find that gas becomes cheaper than coal. We have more gas and less coal in the system. And then we have the crisis period, meaning a reverse fuel switch, during which we had a very high gas price in parallel to a high CO2 price, meaning that gas combustion became again more expensive than coal combustion. Whenever gas combustion is more expensive than coal combustion, then we have a problem because more coal is being fired, and that releases toxic air pollutants as well as CO2. So what are our main results? We find that coal combustion increased significantly during the crisis by 24%. That of course caused more CO2 emissions, which increased by 10%. And that also resulted in an additional release of toxic air pollutants. Particulate matter increased by almost 20%, nitrogen oxides increased by 10%, and sulfur dioxide increased by even 25%. This also led to additional premature death related to the coal combustion, which increased by 1,270 deaths or 17%. Well, that all doesn't sound too good, right? So why should we worry? The literature documents that the release of toxic air pollutants causes adverse health effects. There is a significantly higher mortality risk from the additional coal combustion and a strong increase in respiratory, cardiovascular and pulmonary diseases. Also, the literature documents an immediate and longer-term decline in cognitive and physical abilities. For example, worse verbal and math test scores, a decrease in mental health, an increase in criminal behavior, including smaller crimes, up to gun shootings. and what is especially worrisome, lower soccer performance, which is interpreted in the economics literature as worsened individual productivity. Let me conclude. The energy crisis led to a gas price explosion, which eventually led to an increased coal combustion across Europe. This led to significantly more greenhouse gas emissions and an additional release of local toxic air pollutants, which eventually resulted in premature death, adverse health effects, and mental and physical decline. However, a study demonstrates the necessity of coal electricity during crisis times. Without coal combustion, the lights would have gone out. And therefore, coal combustion also has high economic value. If you enjoyed this video, hit the like button, subscribe, and watch my other videos.